P, are you online, P. Newton?
I am right here, President Junior. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another evening. I mean, up close and personal evenings are not just ever now and again with the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Now, every evening is up close and personal with us. And that's one of the reasons why we want to welcome our fellow Kiwanians and friends. And it is my pleasure now to find out who it is that is fellowshipping with us this evening. So first of all, I'd like to find out if there is any club outside of Jamaica that is with us this evening.
We haven't yet won this game.
Any club outside of Jamaica fellowshipping with us this evening? How about division clubs in Division 25?
That's what you want to see.
Yes. Good evening. This is President Ken for Young Professionals Western Jamaica. I have 3 members with me and 3 more should be joining us this evening.
It's great to see and hear you, President Kenfo. Hope you and your team will have a wonderful evening with us this evening. And thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I'm here. This is DP Anthony from the Kiwanis Club of Rosewall, Montego Bay, Division 25. We're happy to be sharing with you this evening. We are 4 in number thus far.
We thank you for coming, DP Anthony, and your team. Always happy to have you with us at Kingston Club.
Our pleasure being here also.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else in Division 25? Okay, how about Division 24? Division 24? How about any club in Division 23 East? I see here it says my internet connection is unstable, but I hope you're still hearing me clearly.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I see you, but I'm not hearing you quite clearly.
I don't think he's playing. I think he wanted to be.
Okay. Well, I'm not hearing you. I don't know if I'm the only one. Maybe you could put it in the chat, and then I will pick it up there. Anyone else in any other club in Division 23 East? How about clubs in Division 23 West?
Good night, fellow Kiwanians. How are we all doing? I bring you cool greetings on behalf of the President Shirley and the members of the Kiwanis Club of Mandeville. I am alone so far, but I'm here to enjoy your meeting as you are our fathers, so we have to cling to our fathers in this time. So I'm going to sit back and enjoy your meeting. I am DP Josephine.
It's great having you, DP Josephine. And as President Junior always would say, you are never alone when you're at Kiwanis Club of Kingston, right? You're amongst friends. Thank you for coming.
Well, yeah, we disappointed this Mr. for me.
Anyone else?
Greetings.
Go ahead.
Sorry, just 1 second. There's some open mics. Please close the mics, or if you have on a TV at the background, just make sure it's down, please. Thank you. Continue.
Or if you're in another meeting.
My time now?
Your time now.
Right. Greetings on behalf of the diplomats. This is DP Kevin from the Kiwanis Club of Linstead, bringing greetings on behalf of President Antoinette and the team. I was reliably informed that there is some rain in St. Catharines, so the team is still trying to cross the gorge, but others will be here shortly. I'm unfortunately alone at the moment, but I'm among friends, so I can't really say that I'm alone. Thank you guys so much for extending an invitation, and I look forward to a wonderful evening. As always, with the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. Thank you.
Thank you, DP Kevin, and I hope your other club members who are in the Gorge, I hope they have service so that they can still log on to this evening's meeting, right? Anyone else from 23 West?
Thank you so much for your invite. This is good afternoon, fellow Kiwanis, or good evening, I should say. I'm President Cecile from the Kiwanis Club of Greater Portmore. And with us this evening, we have 2 visitors online and 3 members. So we have about 5 or 6 in our delegation. We thank you so much and look forward to the up close and personal this evening.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you, President Cecile, for joining us. And we're so glad you didn't have to cross the gorge to go home.
No,
you were able to make it home in time to join us.
Only JetBlue. Only JetBlue.
Okay. Well, you know, since there's no Air J anymore, I don't have any preference. So it's great to have you with us this evening.
Yes.
Likewise. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from Division 23 West? How about Division 23 Central? Any clubs in Division 23 Central with us this evening?
Yes, good evening, PE Junior. How are you doing?
Oh.
Oh, no, sorry. I get that
No.
all mixed up. Go again.
That's fine. That's fine. I
You
have
eat
no
food,
problem with that,
I didn't want to do
Right,
it. Oh, I am so sorry, my 2 favorite people. Look at that.
Right.
No, that is fine. He's my friend, so I don't mind.
Okay, okay. All right. I am so sorry. Accept my apology. However, I'm bringing you greetings from 23 Central Surrey online from on behalf of the president. At the moment, we have LGD Desmond and DLG Keith and myself. And I'm hoping that my number will continue to grow as the meeting goes on. But in any event, I plan on enjoying this meeting to the fullest in this up close and personal. Thank you so much for the invite.
Hey, thank you as usual for joining us, PE Eurydice.
Yes, President and PE.
I am pretty sure it is going to be a fun evening, as you can see from the poster put out by DP. I'm getting a senior moment. No, Stuart. We have two very young, handsome-looking men who will tell you all about their lives this evening.
Yes, and see, my number just grew. The president came on, so we're up to 4 now. So we're growing really fast.
Okay. Okay, great having you and your delegation. And just stick around. I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from Division 23C? Okay, so what about the SLPs now? Do we have any SLPs in the house with us tonight?
Good night, everyone. I am the past Vice President of the Dudley Park Technical High School, Daniel Heath. Everybody might know me by now. And here with me today is my FA Aldit Douglas, VP Brianna, and 2 of our members. Thank you for the invite, and we're looking forward for an informative meeting.
Thank you, past VP Daniel. And yes, we all know you by now. We know you by voice by now. Great to have you with us as usual. Hope you'll enjoy.
Thank you.
Any other SLPs?
Okay, so hello, good night. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Arina Warren. I'm the Vice President of St. Hugh's High Key Club. Tonight with me, I have our Kiwanis relation Chairman Orina Thompson, along with 3 members of our committee. We're looking forward to hearing all the inspiring stories. And yeah, thank you a lot for the invite.
Hey, thank you. Thank you and your delegation for coming, VP Ariana. And one thing I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. You will be happy you came. Thank you for visiting with us as usual.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, any other SLPs? Any other SLPs? How about guests of Kiwanians?
All right, PE Newton, before you go, I think I might have missed the introduction of KCNK from Division 23 East. I'm not sure. I came on a bit. I don't know. I don't think anybody was introduced, but I would like to take the opportunity of wishing you all a good evening. And on behalf of our president, who is not here with us, I want to say all the best for the new year. And with interclubbing with you this evening from Kiwanis Club of New Kingston, our Chairman Pat, and our DP Judith Douglas, and myself, DLG Bev. I'm not sure if there's anybody else online. If so, we'll just put it in the chat. Thanks for the invitation. Have a good evening.
Thank you, DLG Bev. Always a pleasure to have you and your team visiting with us. And we know you will be having a great time this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other SLPs? Any guests of Kiwanians? No guests of Kiwanians? How about persons who just heard that the Kiwanis Club of Kingston meeting is the place to be on a Tuesday evening and decided to log on? Okay, so that's it? Okay, I think we have covered everybody. Thank you all for coming. As usual, we hope you have a great time. We are always happy to fellowship with you, and we're going to have a great evening. So it's back to you, President Junior.
Thank you, P. Newton, and thank you all for coming. As we have anticipated, we are going to have a great evening. We will just move on to apologies for absence. Are there any apologies for absence at this time? DLG William, did you get any apologies for absence?
Yes. Apology for absence from DLGE Trevor Christian.
Oh.
And Treasurer Orville Lewis.
Okay, any other apologies for absence? If not, we'll go into recognition of birthdays and anniversary. And I call on you again, P. Newton, to deal with this section.
Thank you, President Junior, but I believe VP Stephen has a special reason why he wants to do it this evening. So okay. I will yield to VP Stephen this evening.
And I thank you for doing so, but I didn't know that VP was. That is why I didn't call on you, VP.
No problem, President. No problem.
I didn't want to take you by any surprise.
No, that's okay. That's
all
okay.
Right. That is fine. You're a Boy Scout, as I can see.
Yes, I am. Always be prepared.
Yes.
So good evening, Kiwanians. For the week of November 1st to November 7th, we have some birthdays and anniversaries that we would like to share with you. First of all, I'm not sure if P.E. Newton set me up on this board, so it was an indicator that I needed to remember that my wife Nicola's birthday is tomorrow, November 2nd.
Okay, now we see why.
Yes, so that's one. And don't worry, P.E. Newton, I was aware that it was tomorrow. Yeah. Also celebrating a birthday, we have the wife of Errol Anderson, Yvonne Anderson. She celebrates her birthday on November 6th. And also Kiwanian Patrick Barnes, his wife Dorothy, also on November 6th celebrates her birthday. So to all of those ladies, wives of Kiwanians, we wish them a happy birthday when it comes later on this week. We have no anniversaries listed, but I'd like to extend an open microphone if there's anybody who's attending this meeting who is celebrating a birthday or anniversary, if they'd like to share that special occasion with us so that we can also congratulate them. Is there anybody with a birthday this week or anniversary? Okay. So it looks like it's just those 3 birthdays, and we wish those ladies again all the best for their special day when it comes. And I hand it back to you, President Junior, for the meeting to continue.
Thank you very much for doing so. Usually you don't have a lot of weddings and so on, so close to Christmas, so maybe that is the reason why.
Possibly.
Okay, so we'll move to our Kiwanis education, which will be done by LGE.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you, President Paul.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. SLP members, of course. Today, the topic is really in recognition of Key Club Week, which is upcoming.
Right.
Key Club, which is an international student-led volunteer organization, was established on May 7, 1925. Key Club stands for Kiwanis Empowering Youth in High Schools. One of its purposes is to provide its members with opportunities to perform service, build character, and develop leadership skills. It is the largest high school service organization globally, and while it is a member of the Kiwanis family, it is not a part of the respective sponsoring club. It has over 250,000 members with over 5,000 clubs in 40 countries. In Jamaica, there are approximately 3,350 members and 79 clubs. Key Club's core values are leadership, character building, caring, and inclusiveness. And its motto is caring our way of life. And the roles and responsibilities of the sponsoring club, I will just list them. Initiate the organization of the SLP club, obtains approval of the school's officials for its establishment, assist in inviting initial members to join the SLP club, schedules the organization meeting, files a petition with Kiwanis International for chartering the SLP club, plans for the charter presentation ceremony, appoints an SLP committee and Kiwanis advisor, attends SLP meetings and events, maintains an expense line in the service account, meets with the school principal at least annually, ensures all dues and fees are paid and on time, makes sure SLP officers receive proper training, and we'll have a training on Saturday, just remind us all.
Yes.
Schedules an annual meeting with Kiwanis and SLP leadership, host or participate in joint activities, invites SLP club members to Kiwanis meetings, and finally, ensures SLP members are provided training opportunities beyond the club level. And that's it for Kiwanis Education, President. Thank you.
Thank you, LGE. And it is so appropriate at this time, being Key Club Week coming up soon. So we are at our main event now. And I'd just like to hand over to Chairman DP Stewart to take charge of this section. DP, you're on.
Thank you. Thank you, President Junior.
Yeah.
You're hearing me, right?
Loud and clear.
Okay, great, great. Fellow Kiwanians and guests, this evening, we have another in our series, Up Close and Personal. And what is unique about the one this evening is that both members, sometimes we try to include one newer member and one, who has been in the club for a bit longer. But this evening we have two members who we can both call relatively new members. And the other thing that's unique is that they are both first-time chairmen in this administration.
Good.
So I just want to get something clear, because the last time I had to introduce, now I'm gonna say Avion, but he had to correct me. So, but I can't remember which was the correction he gave me about the pronunciation of his first name. Now, can you just say again?
Like aviation.
Okay, so it's Avion. Okay, all right. So I just wanted to remember that. So this evening we have Chairman Sadiki Blake, who is actually chairman of fundraising, and we have Chairman Avion Shaw, who is the chairman for community services. And as I've always done, I don't say anything more about them, because that's what they are gonna do. They're gonna tell you about themselves. So there's no need for me to say anything further. I did send him a message earlier saying who would go first. So Sadiki should be prepared to go first, because that's what I suggested to him. So fellow Kiwanians, let's welcome them with a little, clap. I'm gonna ask Sadiki to go first. Chairman Sadiki, go ahead.
Thank you, DP Stewart. And good night, fellow Kiwanians and those who are online guests.
Right.
I'm about to, give somewhat of a synopsis of my story leading up to this point. So I hope you'll enjoy and find a little intrigue in my life. I was the last of 3 children. So we would call the wash belly.
Yes.
Right. So that was me. But I grew up with my sister and mother, in a single family home. Right. So my sister was the brains of the family. She got out of the block really fast, right? Reading a lot of books, open up to the world a lot quicker than usual. I think, I guess girls usually do, right? But since it was only my mother, right, it was pretty rough, right? So for a while in those earlier years, we were like nomads, we moved from place to place. My mother had to work odd jobs because she didn't have the opportunity of a formal education. So that was what happened. We eventually came to settle in Red Hills, right? First it was rent, and then we got the opportunity to lease a spot of land. So if anyone understand the lease arrangement, it's cheaper than the rent, and it's a longer tenure, right? So in Red Hills, around the Chancery Hall area, right, we have the Lady Hamilton, the Horatio Drive. So a pretty cool. Back then, like 25 years ago, it was more like country, a lot of trees and bush and stuff. So church, my mother was very strict about church, right? Because she wanted us, right, to be on the straight and narrow, to protect us from the outside world that would easily lead us astray. So we had to go to Sunday school. And even if we were late for Sunday school, it would definitely be praise and worship. Then we had to attend night service. During the week after school, we had to attend prayer meetings, Bible study, on weekends, fasting. So we had an idea of, what God meant in our lives, and how to look forward to a greater power. We had to, because after a while, my sister, we got separated. So it was mostly myself and my mom. So because she had to work those odd jobs, I had to wake up very early in the mornings. I'm talking like 3 to 4 o'clock in the mornings for school. I attended Tarrant Primary School at that time. So she had to go out and do her thing. And so like 5 o'clock in the mornings, I'd been halfway through, sitting on a ledge, just waiting for the sun to come up, to just traverse down to school. And I would almost always be the first child at school. So that instilled discipline in getting up, being ready for school. And it's something that I still practice now, right? I don't have a problem to get up early in the mornings and get ready for work. Now, in school and in those earlier years, I was known as a late bloomer, right? The reading and comprehension skills, I would say, developed slowly for me. You might even say I was a bit dyslexic, mixing up certain letters and words. Plus, I stuttered quite a bit at that time. And because of that, I got left behind in school. And I played a lot, right? After school, it was just playing. On weekends, it was just playing. And since I lived in Red Hills, I would find the biggest tree to climb, all the fruit trees. You will find me there. And that was life for me at those times. And how I looked at it now, I know I was behind, a lot of kids and behind in school, but that protected me from the harsh realities of life that existed, and could let me be led astray easily. So the playing helped within itself. But later on in life, I started to progress slowly. I got a couple of wake-up calls. I remember common entrance when I first failed common entrance, and that felt bad, real bad, right? So I said, boy, I really need to work hard. It was still difficult. The reading wasn't coming along, and expression and so on. So the difficulties still existed. So common entrance didn't work out for me. So I matriculated into an all-age school, right? Where what existed was the, I think the achievement test, and you could more likely end up in a technical high school. Now, back then, most persons like myself knew about the traditional high schools, the Calabar, the Casey's, and the Arden. So I was very worried, about what the technical high school would be like. But even though I got a bit more serious because I wanted better, so I passed for St. Andrew Technical, for short, STATS. When I started to attend there, as a new student, the the atmosphere was pretty welcoming. And one of the first things you learned and know while if anyone knew about stats was SW Isaac Henry, right? He impacted on the school so greatly, and technical school that just transformed the entire landscape of the school and what he was about. So he was a visionary, and everyone speak highly of him, right? And for me, I knew that I needed to progress. Not sure how, because I was slow or slower than the norm, but I knew that I needed some change in force in my life. So I wanted to meet this man, Sir Isaac Henry, just to find out that he's the late Sir Isaac Henry and a past principal, right? That came as a shock because I found out that everyone he met, especially in the school, he knew personally, and he steered them on the straight and narrow and taught them, especially the boys, how to, respect the girls and how to just be successful or to gear towards success in life. So those teachings was the first thing for me in high school that, grabbed me and helped me to start to open up and come out of the blocks, as you might say, right? High school was, pretty rough, right? I was good at math. Might say very good at math, but the other half or other side, when they say math and English, right? I fell down on English. My averages were like 30-40%, right? When I went to second form, they had, I think, 7 levels of English class, and I went into E3, they call it at that time, because it went up to E7. So E1 was what you'd call the more, advanced kids, and E7 would be the slowest. So I was pretty much in the middle there. And I had a teacher. The teacher for E3 came in, and we had to introduce ourselves as we usually do. And she introduced herself, tell us what is expected of us. And she had done it in such a way. After class, I, came up to her and say, "Miss, how you did that?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "How you say what you wanted to say, exactly how you wanted to say it." And she said, "Oh, well, it's called expression, right? And you have to, be advanced at a certain level." And so I said, how do I need to say what I want to say exactly how I wanted to say it? And she said, "Boy, you have to read." And I said, "Wow, boy, Mr. Fall down and that reading now, And she said, but there's no escaping it. You have to read." I said, "Boy, all right, sir." I said, "Miss, how am I going to, I don't have access to any books, and I struggle with reading." So, "All right, start with reading the newspaper." I read the newspaper every day. And I said, "Miss, I struggle to come to school, it's kind of hard to find bus fare and stuff. And better yet, I think the Observer at the time was like for $15 or $20. And I said, "Miss, you know how much $20 that is Monday to Friday? And for the month, I can't find so much $20. And she laughed and she said, "All right, I'll carry today's newspaper for you tomorrow." It's called stale news, but it works. And that's how I started, right? Out of the block, right? For reading, I got engrossed in reading. The expression improved, English improved, right up to CXC level. I even got a 1 in English, straight AA profile. And that was because of reading. So that was another turning point in my life, in school. And Miss Dixon obviously turned out to be a mentor in my life, one you might call a second mother, right? She went consistently over and above, right? During my further years, I, just kept on working, because the only thing I knew that is going to get me out of this poverty and, struggle, hard life was education, as they usually tell us. So there was award ceremony at school every end of year, and I never seemed to be on the award. So this time around, I didn't expect to be on it. And when most of it was almost done, and they say, we have a special announcement to make. We are going to call out the top boy and top girl of grade 10. And I was there saying, boy, I wonder who is that going to be? And one of my friends pat me on the shoulder and said, look here, you're bright in a boy. And I said, well, I think, you have a lot more kids in the school. And they said, and the top boy for grade 10 is. And when I heard my name, wow, it was overwhelming, right? So one of my first motto at that time developed in hard work pays, as simple as that, hard work pays, right? So that was another turning point in my life from working hard and studying. I went on to be a part of the first sixth form at Stats. I found out later on in sixth form that I was awarded a government scholarship, but it came late, right? And I wasn't attending university at the time. So I asked them if they could hold it until next year when I would apply. And so when next year came and I applied, I went to the ministry and said, boy, I'm ready now. And they said, boy, that another person got that scholarship. So I said, what did you mean? Because I need to attend university. And you told me that, you would hold the scholarship until the following year. So they said, boy, sorry, but we cannot. But I said, I need to attend university. And they said, boy, they had a couple of persons out of Miami at the time that is going to sponsor the ministry. So maybe I could be one of those. So I wrote a letter, and I remember the slogan at the time being, every child can learn, every child must. And I end my letter by saying that. And they were pretty impressed. I went in an interview and they started asking some, typical questions, general questions about school and so on. And they said, boy, I see you writing the letter that, boy, life is pretty hard. How are you going to manage when you start going to university, bus fare, lunch money, the works? I said, you don't worry about that, man. You just give me this money and I'll figure the rest. And they were impressed again, right? And that was another turning point in my life, right? As you would know, the struggles continue through university, but I worked during my time, and eventually was awarded a Bachelor of Science in quantity surveying in 2009. And I think I just might have squeezed out my sister because she was awarded her degree in 2010, and she's older than I am. But not to say, because remember now, she's the brain, so she could have gotten it a long time ago, but I think she took a break, a sabbatical, and went to work and so on. So she could have finished earlier, but I think I turned out to be the first one in the family, and as the youngest, to get a first degree. So that within itself, I would say, is awesome. Family life. I presently have a young family, right? I've been married for 10 years. I have 2 children, Joshua and Jacob. Joshua is 9, soon to be 10, and Jacob is 6, soon to be 7, right? I'm very active in my family life. For instance, you know, every morning before work, before anything else, I would get up and make breakfast, and this is a consistent thing, right? Not sometimes, almost every morning, I get up and make breakfast, get the boys ready, take them to school, pick them up again, you know, and I spend quality time with homework and the like. So for family, I'm pretty active and strong there. Occupation and business. Because life was how it was, as I explained before, I started working as early as 13 or 14 years old, and I'm talking about officially working. Now, being in Red Hills, there was a lot of construction sites, right? So I could pretty easily get jobs as an apprentice on site to the chairman, and I think that was what led me to choose construction in high school, right? And a lot of the principles and practices in construction wasn't new to me even when I went to university, because I saw those firsthand on site. So because I started early, and the reason why I had to start working early is that, you know, my mother stopped the odd jobs and went into farming and raising cattle, you know, small farming, small animal rearing. So sometimes the produce don't come or don't sell as much. So you have to find a way to make up money for school and so on. So I had to just go out there and just make it happen. Yes, young, but I was driven, and I wanted to help, you know, as the mama's boy. Earn and study in university, you know, it continues. So they had a program there called Earn and Study, and I was a part of that program. So I worked in the registrar's office, helping out there, and I sometimes volunteered for graduation ceremony, because the registrar's office dealt with that side of affairs within the university. After I was awarded my degree, I was lucky, because I remember being at school and our lecturer said, you know, cost estimating is core in quantity surveying, right? And it would be wonderful if anyone in the classroom could get a job with a grade 1 contractor. And I was lucky to be interviewed, right? Because my lecturer they asked, and my lecturer put forward my name. So I got accepted at Surrey Paving and Aggregate, as a young quantity surveyor. And I was also fortunate to be in the thick and thin of construction, understanding all procedures, because one of my first jobs was on the Washington Boulevard between Mullines Road and Constant Spring Road. So when they widened the leg to 3 carriageway on either side with bridge construction, major pipe work, drainage and the like. So I was privy to be a part of that. And that has led me to this day being able to do cost estimating and other core quantity surveying, right? That some QS who didn't start out as early as I did might still struggle. I gave Surrey Paving 7 years. So I resigned, or 2 months shy of 7 years. So I resigned in 2017 and immediately started my construction, a construction company with 2 partners. We had a couple of jobs and then we call it quits after, I think it was a year and a half. And then I went on to start my own construction company, which is still going strong, where it's called Ekbal Enterprise Limited, and I offer cost consultancy, project management, and other construction related tasks. Hobbies and sports. As it relates to sport, my first love was cricket. And this came about while, you know, being a youngster, you tend to be around the older folks and they're always listening to cricket. And, you know, they had that as an old man sport, right? But it grew on you eventually because you are around them so much. So I loved cricket. The Brian Charles Lara, which I think, you know, and we can argue this, is one of the best batsmen of his era, right? I was there when he scored the 400 not out against England, I think, in 2004. Chris Gale, I think, scored 3 triple centuries, so I was there too. And I was also a part of when Jerome Taylor bowled out England for very cheap. I was trying to get to that match, right? But before I reached, England was all out. Right. I sadly fell out of love for cricket though, right? I suffered a lot of disappointments, right? It's really sad to say. And to this day, I continue to ask and wonder why we could not maintain our strong history despite the changing times, right? So I don't know, we just fall flat from grace, and that has bothered me and to this day. My other hobby, as I mentioned before, became reading because I wanted to express myself so badly, say exactly what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it. I became engrossed in reading. You know, started with the newspaper. I exhausted all of the novels in the library at school, my teacher's library at home, right? Anybody I could borrow books from. I was just a reading machine. I was a lover of Old English, right? I like the Charles Dickens, the Thomas Hardy, the Charlotte Bronte, and so on. And for more modern day authors, I read the James Patterson, the Alex Cross series, the Stephen King's, right? And my sister had a series, a Gothic series, the Sherilyn Kenyon books. So I reading became my forte, where I progressed a lot and could, go to university and completed my studies. I remember that one time while reading, I read 70 books in 3 months. That's how ingrained I was in reading. And what I do for fun, well, nowadays, because of the young family, I spend a lot of time with my boys. They get very excited when it comes down to Christmas and vacation. They love to go to the hotels and Christmas presents and any sort of outings, right? So I mostly enjoy those things with them. Motivation. I religiously pride myself as a, hard, steadfast worker. And one of the famous saying of mine, as I adapted from my high school teacher, who I'd mentioned earlier, Mrs. Dixon, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And I think I've pretty much put that into practice. Just never giving up despite the challenges. I went to school from basic to tertiary, not breaking at all. So I've stood the test of times and still keep on pushing to this day. I have been, as before mentioned, the beneficiary of many help leading to this stage of my life. So it is now my turn to play my part in the wide outreach of the Kiwanis movement. Thank you for having me, and I hope I intrigue the viewers. Thank you.
That's
fun.
Boy, that was really some story. That was really personal and really up close. Sadiki, we tend to go to the next person, but I just want to ask you one thing. So you would be aware of another member of the club who was at Surrey Paving?
Yes, Mr. Archers, right, but because I was, kind of nervous, and I know you heard it in my voice, right? Mr. Archer was project director. Boy,
Yeah.
apologies, Mr. Archer, for I put you in one of my points, right, as a guide, right? But
yes.
Right,
Okay.
Mr. Archer was one of those persons that,
Yeah.
really gave the knowledge, right, as a team, right.
Right. Very, very interesting. And I in order to keep the flow going, I think any of you who may have a question for Sadiki, please just keep a note of it. And then at the end, after Avion has done his presentation, we'll open the floor. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
I put that in the chat, but I didn't see any response.
Okay. All right. Thank you again, Sadiki. Really, that was really moving. I'd like to ask Avion now. Are you ready? I'm hearing us. So, okay, your mic is okay. Not so good yet, but try again. Say it again.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good
Okay. Okay, Avion. The floor
Alright,
is all yours.
All right, thanks to it. All right. So for those who don't know, I'm Avion Shaw, Chairman Avion Shaw, and I'm a third year nursing student at the University of Technology. I don't really have a story written down, and I thought about doing a presentation, PowerPoint presentation, but I'm just going to come and just share a few things. I'm not one, I don't really like talking about myself. I prefer to hear other person's stories. And for that, I'd like to acknowledge a few points from from Sadiki's presentation. That Sadiki, I'd like to note that I too applied for the Earn and Study program and work in the same department, student services, for the assistant registrar. Now, into my story, we have a few things in common. I don't know if you guys will pick up on it as I go along, but yes, the second thing is I'm also the wash billy of 6, right? I have 5 siblings. My parents have 2, so it was 2 of us who were conceived while our parents were together. So they both brought two children in the relationship. I started out at the Davis Early Childhood Institution that's in St. Elizabeth, where I'm from. Yes, the Breadbasket Parish. I was what they call the champion boy. I won most competitions, reading, spelling, and the races. Yes, I could run like the wind. I was racing against primary school students, and I was running, but I could run. Right? They used to mock me about my posture while I was running, because when I was running, I don't know if it was because of how fast I was running, but my head was going back and my chest was up in the air and I was moving. Right? But after I graduated from kindergarten and moved on and transcended to Park Mountain Primary School, where after starting out, the teacher, I don't remember how that went, but they called my parents or notified them that, hey, your child is reading above or performing way above this grade level. And so they thought it was necessary or relevant for me to be placed in a higher grade. But we decided and we said, you know what, we're not going to skip any grades, and I stood in grade 1. Something to note is that while going through kindergarten and primary school, I was not one of those playful kids or children. So I remember one evening I went home and my mother told me that she got a call from the teacher. It's like she's concerned about why I'm not playing at school. And I told her I just don't like playing because, you know, growing up with adult siblings, everyone is grown. I don't know, I just felt grown. And so I didn't really play much going through school. And so the teacher would run me out of the class because at lunchtime when we would be outside playing, or we should be outside playing after eating, I would sit in the class and wait for the next session after the experience to begin. Going through primary school, I was honored with the class monitors and prefect. At around grade 6, grade 5, I joined the Cub Scout. I got a position in the in the club. I don't remember. It's been so long. I'm ashamed to admit, but I was ranked in the movement. I did my GSAT. Oh, going through primary school, my favorite subject was science, integrated science, I believe it was at the time. I did GSAT, and my highest scores was in the science. I passed for Monroe College, which was like the pinnacle of school, secondary schools in the parish. So the whole reason why I worked so hard, even harder to pass for that school, was because my parents promised me a birthday party. Right, so I passed from Monroe College with an average of 91%. I did not like math from those times, but people would always say, "Yo, you're going to pass from Monroe College." We all know this, in the security guard and all. So starting out at Monroe College, it was mandatory for all students to board for orientation, a 2 weeks period where we would be orientated. But really and truly, it was an experience where we got what they call grubbing, right? We were required to do some absurd things like whining on brooms. We were dared to do some things out of this world. I don't know how they come up with those ideas up until now, but moving on. So first year was really a challenge for me because I was struggling to adjust to the whole new environment. For those who do not know, Monroe College is on the tallest hill in St. Elizabeth. It is our motto, Boboski one. In our case, it's a Kultabit, which means a city set up on a hill cannot be hid. It is a city set up on a hill. Yeah, it is really cold up there. It gets really cold at Malvern. So it was besides that, for first year, in addition to adjusting to that rather, I had to adjust to the new learning environment. It was a struggle, but my love for science grew from that moment because I was now introduced to a science teacher known as Mr. Brown, and I highly doubt anyone in here is familiar with. He's one of the best science teachers. That man, he made me. I learned so much from that class, so much unnecessary as well as necessary stuff. I got a lot of information from his class in first form. Moving on, so I was fire and safety in first form. Moving on, I got different roles or positions in the different farms, but fast tracking to third form, which is the year that you really decide which route you're going to take or the path you're going to take. At Monroe College, we have we don't. It's not a technical school, and we don't really have trades or any technical subjects. It's just business, science, and technical drawing. Oh, there is resource and technology. Yes, there is. But it was mostly majority of persons majored in business or science. For me, so as I said, this is a third form is where you really decide which route you're going to take. I started doing my research. Unlike many students, I believe, I started doing my research because I'm from a background where my siblings are competitive. And so I wanted to know what I'm doing and what I can excel at and what I'm doing. So at that point, I was doing well in science. So I was like, I'm going to stick with science. But also, I felt like I would do well in business as well. In the business subjects rather. So after doing, I believe, 20 something subjects at the time, I majored in business and science because I straight through it, I never failed a business subject or my sciences. Wait, no. I actually failed sometime in chemistry, but yes. So I majored in both business and science, but after doing certain researches on the different career paths, I decided that I would focus on nursing. So yes, it was from that early point that I decided on my career path. But still, throughout high school, I did both business and science, which I passed all off with distinctions and grade twos. I was a prefect in I was prefect in sixth form. Prefect in sixth form. I got some awards. I was also the president for the 4-H club. A fun fact is I enjoyed apiculture. Through the 4-H club, I had us entered the a 4-H competition, which was hosted in the Sydney Pagan school, where I was placed third. Up to this day, I don't know how, right? But I studied very hard and I got the experience that I needed for that competition. Because for those who don't know, apiculture is beekeeping. I love the bees. All right. Now I'm from a humble background, one would say, but my parents just never have it. Yeah, and it was 6 of us. Well, even though I was in high school and I was the only one. No. So my sister left Bethlehem Moravian College. She pursued an English degree. She graduated when I was in 4th year. But even though it was just the 2 of us, even after she left university, it was still hard on me. My brother migrated to Canada and left his house and my parents moved, right? So I was practically living at home. Oh yes, all my siblings left. They left the block. So I was left there with my other sister who is disabled, by the way. But she's older than I am, right? So at that point in 4th form, things were difficult, and so I had to decide on whether I'm going to drop out or I'm going to push through, right? Even though the money wasn't there and I was practically on my own. So I saw on the guidelines that was sent any entrepreneurial entrepreneurial background, right? So at that point I decided that I'm going to push through, and a friend and I joined what they call a partner, Susu. And I threw the partner for some time with money, the whatever money that I got from my father, and I said, all right, I'm going to use this money and start a business. And I used the money when I got the money and started a chicken business, a chicken coop. The money was around $50,000. I started off with 25 chickens and I think 12 bags of feed. I read those and I turned over the profit each time until I was able, and I was also able to purchase some of my stuff out of the profits that were the revenue acquired through the business, and also to start to stock a shop that my mother had. I started the shop all while going to school. So in high school also, fun fact is I was a bit more reserved. I was one of those reserved students, but I still had friends and I talked. I loved English as well. I got awards for writing. I remember I entered a competition, a poem writing competition for Mother's Day, and I won that competition. Teachers would come in, my English teachers would come and be about my writing skills. I feel like I'm blabbering. I hope I'm not. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, by the way. So I know I'm leaving out some things. I know I'm leaving out some things. So after leaving high school, I started university, which I am at now. Things were still a challenge, of course. And starting university, I could not monitor the business from university back at home. And so things went down. And yeah, when I started university, I started thinking of other ways I could make some funds, right? And so I thought about working, which I did at the assistant registrar's office, right? I am now living in Kingston, practically living in Kingston on campus, right? If there are any questions, remember, we can ask. Oh, yes.
Okay. Sorry, Avion,
yes.
we'll just keep the questions until you're finished, and then we'll pitch in.
All right. So let's backtrack. All right. So growing up, as I said, it was challenging for my parents to provide. I remember we had to, at that time when I was younger, we did not have water. The community did not have water. And so we had to, my father had a car, my brother would drive the car sometimes to go for water on the main road, right? We live approximately 10 minutes drive from the Santa Cruz town, right? But still, the water was in the community at that time. That was a good while back I'm talking about. And so we had to, when we could not drive, we would walk, go for water. We would do, by the way, as I said, I have 5 siblings, and being the youngest, I was treated like the youngest. And it was a thing growing up where, because this one, my eldest brother, who is now in Canada, he passed for Black River High School. And then my sister was like, the one that came after was like, all right, I want to go to Black River High School, and she passed for Black River High School. And so when I was in primary school, I was like, I want to go to Black River High School too, because most of my siblings, well, my brother and my sister went there, so I wanted to. And so in my mind, I was working to pass for Black River High School, which where we're from, Black River High School is like a less traditional school than the Monroe College. So when I passed for Monroe College, my mother was overwhelmed, or she was happier than I was, because I wanted to go to Black River High School. And so I was happy, yes, because I did not pass for, a bad school, but still I wanted to go to Black River High School. And I said that, and my siblings, because my brother, before my older sister, he wanted to go to St. Elizabeth Technical High School, but he passed for Lacovia High School. And my mother said, anywhere you pass for, there you go. And so he had to go to Lacovia High School, even though he wanted to go. No, it was Magati, actually. He wanted to go to Magati because my other sister went to Magati, right? And so when my mother said she would consult my siblings now first before she decided she's going to let me get the transfer, when she consulted them, they was like, no, anyway, your passport, there I go. And so even though they did not allow me, in the back of my mind, I was like, all right, fine. It's a better school. And on the bright side, I outdid my siblings, right? And so even though we were competitive, or for somewhat competitive, all my siblings were happy for me. I must say that, and they were very supportive in the process. Also, when I started, it was a good thing. I did not get that transfer because I do not regret going to Monroe College at all, because the experience is one of the best. I've met some lifelong friends, and there's one thing about being the relationship that you develop at Monroe College with everyone. Like, okay, so Monroe College is one of those schools, you'll go there and you'll never see a fight on campus. If there's a fight, you just know it's gonna break before a teacher come or anybody find out or anybody sees. That's the kind of school we're talking about. So we were like family at the school, and that is the whole that is, I believe, the reason why, even though after this day, even though sometimes we don't talk much on campus after graduation, and we meet outside of school, it's like we've been friends for 5 years, right? Because it's just a thing, yeah, being Monroeans, right? So I don't regret going to Monroe College, even though there's a stigma surrounding the school. Yeah, there is, which I will not mention, because it's an all-boys school. It's an all-boys school, so there was a stigma, which is one of the reasons why I did not want to go there in the first place. But nevertheless, I went there and I had a good time, and I experienced a lot of growth and development. Yes, I don't know if there is anything I'm missing out. Let me take a look back at the guidelines.
Okay. No, you don't have to cover every single thing that was in the guidelines, but you did say something. Okay, we can call it a close at this point, Avion. I think you have covered what you wanted to cover, and we're gonna let me say thank you for sharing your story with us. One thing, before we open it up, let me just ask you one question. You spoke a lot about your running. I don't know what that you mentioned. That I don't know if that was your kindergarten stage or your primary school stage, or what stage that was, but you didn't say anything more about it afterwards. So yeah. Why did you stop running, or did you stop running?
Right. So it was.
Sorry, Monroe has a good track record. You have won sprint relay, so you didn't run at Monroe. Tell us about that part.
I did not.
Yes.
That's a good question. That's a good question. So it was in kindergarten. I actually did some running in primary school, but I did not follow, because in primary school I got you could say a bit more reserved or antisocial. I ran sports day, and that was it. In high school, I wanted to do sports, but it wasn't track and field. It was rugby, because rugby was introduced at the time. I wasn't allowed to compete or participate in sports because my mother and my eldest brother, they said they did not want me participating in sports because I was asthmatic. So yes, that was the reason why.
Okay. All right. Well, fellow Kiwanians and guests, the floor is open. And remember, you have questions for Sadiki or you have questions for Avion. Just and Desmond, can I ask you to monitor the chat for me? There might be some in the chat.
Yes.
So the floor is open.
I will come last.
You have one now? No, go ahead.
One for Chairman Sadiki.
Go ahead.
All right, Chairman Sadiki, are you there?
Yes, there.
Hello?
Yes.
Can you mute that person? Oh, that person speaking? All right, I yield to you.
Hi, good night. I just want to ask one question for Sadiki or one question for Avion. Sadiki, what role did Mr. Stedman play in your life? And Avion, you should have continued tracks, man. Because most of Jamaica team, most of our runners in Jamaica, they have asthma. You should have, like we're in university now, is that something that you think you would possibly go pursue?
Tracks.
No. I think at this point I'm way out of shape because even in high school I would work out or go to the gym, I run. But no, I'm way out of shape because it's either I don't have the time or I'm too lazy to go and work out at this point. Yep. So I'm too out of shape. It's just for now, it's just a matter of wellness. Health and wellness.
Okay. And Sadiki, you could answer the other question.
Yes. Thank you for that, Director Ori. Well, you and me both know Mr. Stedman, right? He was the catalyst between us and chemistry, right? without Mr. Stedman, there would be no chemistry, right? And that's the chemistry subject, right? Because you know me, Orion, I did not, and I would prefer not doing the sciences, right? But they said I excel at it, but so therefore I did it. And plus I was in construction, so I think it was a requirement somewhat to do the sciences. So yes, Mr. Stedman played his part in terms of, he was a, very bright. He was one of the bright teachers of St. Andrew Technical, and without him, I don't think I would have been successful in chemistry and passing it. So yes, he played his part, and even until this day, we are still friends. We still speak, so we're cool.
Okay, thanks for that, Orion.
No, you're cool now.
You guys have some secrets,
Yeah.
So, but if since you're not going to share the secrets, then we'll leave it at that. Okay. Who else would like to ask?
I still have the question.
Okay, go ahead, LG.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Sadiki. Very interesting and inspiring presentation.
Thank you very much, LG.
Right. Okay. Let me just say, with all those early childhood challenges, really, how have you inculcated some of those disciplines and values in your children?
Thank you for that question, and I'm glad you asked. Sometimes I feel guilty because I'm a bit strict, maybe too strict, because I get worried. Sometimes when I think back on my life, and I tend to give them my life story, and they're not too young to learn and to hear, especially my eldest son, because it's the age of technology, it's the television, it's the tablet. The first one, the eldest one, he has his mother's brain, I like to say. He's just effortlessly bright. The youngest one, he is a bit slower, more like when I started out, right? And both of them likes to play. Both of them prefer not to do any work at all, right? So yes, that is the grave challenge, right? So I just consistently remind them of where I am coming from, right? And sometimes when you go to school and the teachers would say, boy, they're going to have challenges later on because they're not doing any work. And I say, miss, if you had known my story, my eldest son is in grade 5, he's 9, soon to be 10. And he was assessed when he was in grade 3. And he was reading at the 9th grade level. And I said to him, when I started high school, I still couldn't read like you. So not to worry, they're in good hands. So I just tend to be there, reminding them and providing parental support and doing it the diplomatic way to let them have their voice, right? Because I really believe in that. I didn't have much of that right? So even though sometimes I come across as being scary, you know, the male figure, right? I say, look here, speak out and speak up, right? Because I always want you guys to have your voice. So that's
So
it.
have you let me just add this to what Desmond said. So what about the reading? Do they read, or have you encouraged them to
Yes.
read?
Oh,
How
yes.
about that?
Well, that's the thing. Early on, the eldest one, he started out, you know, just loving the reading, but I don't know, he just lapsed. And I tell you what, because he's so bright, I remember getting the Hardy Boy series, and he run through those series like 2 or 3 times over, right?
Yes.
I think he's read over 200 books, and he has books at home, maybe over 50, and he has read them more than 2 or 3 times over again. So I need to get him some new ones, but I just can't get him to love the reading and love the work, right? So that's the only worry, but it's okay. The youngest one now, he had struggled with reading, and myself and mommy, because we pride ourselves, you know, and going to the highest level. And how we looked at it is that if you are gone to university and finish university, one thing that you learn is that you become trainable. So when he was struggling in school for reading, because he can read pretty good now. We use different approaches, right? Similar, but different ways to get him to understand than the repetitive approach, right? And that worked. That worked. My youngest son now is quite the reader. And the eldest one, he still reads more like when he's on the television, because one of the strategies we use is that anything he's watching, it has to be subtitled. So, right. So he's constantly reading. And if you see him take up a book, he's like running through. We have to say, hey, slow down. I know you got this, but you know what I mean? And remember to pronounce your word properly. And I know you got this. So our little strategic thing works. It's just that, you know, I can't really get them to really love the work. And I guess that will come over time.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Right.
There's a question in the chat, DP.
You want to read it? Go ahead.
Yeah, the question is directed at Chairman Avion. What has happened to the shop, the business?
Who asked the question?
Okay. President-elect.
Oh, yes. Okay, good.
Right. Thank you for the question. So the shop ran for a year, because remember I was supporting myself for school, right? So you know how it goes with business. When you're taking from it and it's not being replaced, it's just going to fail. But they really supported me through high school, and I don't think I would have made it, or I would have, because it was really an experience also, because I got a sense of responsibility through doing all of my, through the businesses, because I'd also got to develop some skills, which I don't think I would have garnered if I had not started those businesses.
Thank you, sir. And I see DP Anthony's hand is raised.
Okay, go ahead, DP Anthony.
All right. Good night again, Mr. Chairman. My little bit is not a question. I just want to commend the two gentlemen for their presentation. As I can relate to the more so struggles growing up. I wasn't that bad academically, but when it comes to the parental support and financial. But what I want to suggest to both men is that we use our situation, and I use our because what I do here in Montego Bay, to allow young men around us to hear our stories. And from hearing our stories and seeing where we are now, we can implement change in our little corners, and gradually our communities, and then another community, and then it will spread across to the wider Jamaica. But it's good that males like ourselves can speak out and speak up of our experiences, where we were, and where we are now. But one of the things we want to do, we want to have our stories being out there in the schools, on the street corner, just about every opportunity that we get to share these stories. It must. I commend them for coming on this platform, but I want them going back to their alma mater, the various groups that they can be a part of, influence to our young men in particular. They need to hear what has transformed over time. And as an educator myself, sometimes it's about who run out of the block very fast. It's about those of us who have some endurance. So I commend them both, but I want them to know that it doesn't stop here. We want them to go anywhere to talk about the byways, but everywhere to share your story so that we can effect some change. There, you might go to a school and you talk to 100 students, but if it's if one out of that group is going to sit there and listen and say, guess what happened? I am in a similar circumstances, and hence I can be like him or even better. And I tell people all the time, nothing is not so wrong with our young men in particular, or people. It's just that sometimes they need somebody to constantly reminding them that do not let your circumstances determine where you go. Thanks much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, DP Anthony. And I see DLG Bev has her hand up. Go ahead, DLG Bev.
Thank you so much, Stu. I just want to say how I feel very emotional at this time, having listened to our presenters, because I see where they're coming from and I feel where they're coming from and where they are today. It is so, so good. And so I want to agree with the speaker, the person who just spoke, that we should utilize these two young persons, and Kiwanis is a great platform for them to tell their stories to our youth, to our youth, you know, and we could definitely set a program in motion that we can utilize our Kiwanians who have spoken this evening. Young Kiwanians, we do appreciate you. We thank God for all that you have been through, and it just goes to show that you can make it if you try. And I was even more happy to hear of when the other gentleman, I can't remember his name, who spoke, he's a father, and he spoke about his sons. And that just moved me, because some persons listening might say, well, you know, no man, it's possible. And as long as they have the parenting, because that's where we have the problem, parenting. And so he too could speak to parents about what to do, because the strategies that he used to make sure that his boys were reading and continue to read. Yes. I'm really impressed. Excellent. Wonderful, wonderful presentations. I'm so glad I joined. Thank you.
Thank you, DLG Bev. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap up. We kind of run a little bit beyond the time we would have liked. But if there's just one more question, we'll allow it. So, and if there isn't, then we'll close.
Just to say to DLG Bev that the speaker before her was DP Anthony. And of course, as you mentioned about using them also as motivational speakers, some of these schools, that would be excellent.
Okay. Okay, well, it seems as if that's it. And I'm assuming nobody else has their hand up. Okay. So at this point, I want to say again, a very big thank you to both Chairman Sadiki and Chairman Avion. It was really our pleasure just sharing in what you had to share with us. And with that, I'm going to hand it over back to President Junior. President Junior, need to open your mic, or do you?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you very much. Thank you. Sorry, I have to keep doing this. And I'd just like to say that I enjoyed both of them speaking. In fact, in part, it sounded so much like myself when I was a young man. I remember Sadiki talking about Isaac Henry. I also have some experiences with him as well. He was the head of the sixth form block in at Kingston College. So I know what Isaac, we used to call him Zaki, is all about. And also for the Monroe man, right? The person who mentored me as a young man in school was Douglas Forrest. He was a Monroe. He was a Monroe past student as well. Old boy, right, DLG Willie?
Yes, former headmaster.
Former headmaster, right, Douglas Forrest. So I understand all that you're talking about, and really some good story there. Some typical stories, you know, a lot of young people go through all of that. And I would just like to join in to say that you should continue to tell your stories because they are good stories. Thank you. They're really good stories. Okay. Sarge, are you ready for us? Because we're running late, so I don't want to hold up too much of your time.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
So quickly, just to make sure that this does not happen to any of you, so I'm going to tell you about, it seems my video not responding. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to tell you about a barber. So this man came up into his barber shop and asked him, what time are you closing today? So he says, 5 p.m. The next day, the man came and he asked, what time are you closing today? He said, 4:30. This continued to happen for a while. So the barber got very curious because this man would always come, ask what time he's closing, but never stays to cut his hair. So he asked his apprentice to follow the gentleman the next time he comes in. And the man comes and he asks, what time you close today? He told him, he went out, the apprentice followed the man. When the apprentice came back, he asked him, where did he go to? And he said to the barber, to your home. So some quick Sir William Reason for giving wife Nicole to VP Stephen Gregg, even though he already had a wife Nicola, $200. IPP Paul, who indicated your attendance to the joint installation with your wife Nicole, $200. And VP Stephen Gregg for seemingly sharing wife Nicole with IPP Paul, $200. And if you have any issues with the last two charges, blame Sir Willie Reason. Have a good evening, everyone.
Sarge, you didn't hear when LG Desmond said President Paul in reference to when he was going to say President Junior?
Oh no, I didn't hear that.
I didn't get that one either.
My attention.
Yeah.
So
I didn't get that one
that
either.
sounds like another fine for this evening of $200. So we have 4 fines. Have a good evening, everyone.
And thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, sir. That was, as they would like to say, quick and fast. Yes, man. So our next notices and announcement. Interclubbing opportunities.
Thank you, President Junior.
Yes.
Regarding notices, the back to school supplies project, which is being done jointly with Michael Circuit K and our newly minted Kiwanis Club Nation Builders Kingston. That's still ongoing. Just a reminder, the visual council meeting this month on the 13th. At the board meeting, we will elect our delegates. There are another announcements, or we just mentioned on the interclubbing opportunities. Michael Circuit K is having a regular meeting tomorrow night at 6 p.m. I will send out the schedule tomorrow, the upcoming interclubs for the rest of the week.
To the members WhatsApp group. This time, no other announcements, no other interclubbing opportunities. President Junior, perhaps you may want to ask any of our visiting clubs if they have any notices or announcements they wish to make. Thank you. Yes, thank you, dear G. Willie. Are there any other visiting clubs that would like to make some announcement at this time? Interclubbing opportunities. Tell us about them.
I see DP Josephine's hand up.
Oh, yes, DP Josephine.
Good night, dear. Good night, LG, Desmond, and fellow Kiwanians. I just want to invite you all to the installation ceremony of 3 clubs, Kiwanis Club of Mandeville, Maypen, and Spalding Christiana, on Sunday, November 20th at the Tropics View Hotel in Mandeville at 2 p.m. starting time, and I'm looking at a cost of $5,000 per person.
Okay.
Looking forward to see my father there.
Okay.
President Junior, if you allow me, I was remiss.
Go ahead.
Members of the Christmas Planning Committee, there is a meeting tomorrow evening, 5:30 at my house. 52 Henry Crescent. We have done quite a bit of work since we met last week, Wednesday. I just remind members on the call that is our annual Grand Christmas Charity Ball. It's set for Saturday, December 3, Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Cost $15,000. Band is Fabulous 5 and Fab 5. Frankie, Fab 5.
And I will yield to somebody else, but I have an announcement. I'll see if anybody.
President Junior.
Yes, I'm on.
I don't know if I missed it, but did we have an extension of time?
No, we didn't actually.
You know, these are the things that we need to ensure happens.
Yes.
It's now almost going up to 9 o'clock, President.
I didn't realize that. It's 8:51 at this time. Do we seek an extension at this time?
Yes, you can. Yes, so moved.
Okay.
I need about 3 more minutes.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, dear Stan.
President Junior.
Yes, I am.
President Junior.
Yes.
Just
DP Chris.
Yes, one announcement. For the SLP committee members, I reminded them that there will be a joint training session for Division 23 Central and 23 for the Kiwanis and the faculty advisors and the SLP members, board members. Right, and it will be on November 5th, which is Saturday, at 10 a.m. via the Zoom platform. And the, yes, and the Zoom platform will be shared.
Okay, good. Good, thank you, DP Chris. Are you going to have that meeting with them? You still will be able to have that meeting, DP Chris, for this week?
No, it doesn't seem possible that we will be able to meet for this week. So I just have to do some one-on-one with my chairman.
Please
we won't be able to meet as a group.
Okay, good. Any other announcements?
I have no announcement really, but DP Chris just did it, so that's fine.
Okay, good.
I'm sharing the link in the Kingston group. Going, it's there now.
Yeah.
That's the link for the SLP seminar on Saturday.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah. DP Stewart, I thought you wanted to.
No, it's just a thought for the day was the last thing.
Oh, yes.
I didn't, yeah.
Yes, we'll get to that. All right, so if there's no more announcement, then we just move straight into the thought of the day.
Okay, go now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Thought of the week, we should say.
Yes. Okay, the first one I have. Okay, let me do this one first. Yeah. You know, sometimes when you want to make improvements in life, you have to make changes. So this thought says there are 3 things that will cause you to change. When you know enough that you are able to change. When you care enough that you want to change. And or when you hurt enough that you have to change.
Okay.
That's my first one. And my second one is, great people are really ordinary people with an extraordinary amount of determination. And those are my two thoughts, President Junior.
And thank you very much. You have so much of good thoughts, both of them. So are there any other business that anyone would like to quickly talk about? If not, can we terminate this meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston? And I'd just like to say thank you very much. Thank you all for coming, and we surely enjoy the meeting. And I know most of you, if not all, do enjoy the meeting as well. Up to now, we have 52 people online. So thank you for coming again. And all the best for the evening, for the rest of the evening, that is. Thank you.
Toast, President. Toast.
About toast?
Toast to Kiwanis International.
Oh, yes. I was looking for my glass, but I didn't see it. And toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica Land We Love.
Kiwanis International, Jamaica Land We Love.
Thank you. Thank you all. And good evening to you all again, I must say.
This meeting is now terminated.
It has been. It is now terminated. Yes, thank you.